I'm joined today by Russell Manser, who runs a business called The Voice of a Survivor, and in total spent 23 years behind bars. Welcome, Russell.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Mate, thanks for your time today. Now, I got you on to have a chat about some pretty remarkable things that are happening in my neck of the woods in Queensland, and specifically the Woodford Correctional Centre. Now, it's documented today that in the space of 12 hours, there was not one but two deaths out of the Woodford Jail. You spend a lot of your time these days working with people that have been behind bars.
Yeah.
When you hear of those sort of statistics, is that a surprise to you?
Well, in this current climate, no, because them places are melting pots at the moment. They really are. In my line of work, I get between 20 and 30 phone calls from prisons a day. And I know that what's reported to me that them places are extremely tense at the moment. People with predispositions for mental health problems are being really tested. And that's been sort of relayed to me that what's going on. And in those prisons, it's unfortunate the medical treatment there is third world at best. Prison's one of those places. If you're suffering or anything like that, it's not somewhere where you go and tell the medical people how you're actually feeling, because there's a form of punishment that's called ABS observation, and where they have a tendency of stripping all your clothes off you, putting you under a blue light, strip searching you every 12 hours, waking you up every 25 minutes to make sure that you're still alive. A lot of prisoners see that as a form of humiliation, and it is. It's a form of humiliation. If you're being waken up every 25 minutes and you're trying to get to sleep, your mental health's going to get tested. And
so, Russell, if I'm behind bars and for whatever reason I start to think to myself, I'm having some mental health issues.
Yeah.
Is there someone there I can reach out to? And if so, are they qualified? Are they experienced and going to be able to help me in the best possible way?
Well, a lot of them are qualified, and a lot of them are not. What I believe, but it's not the goal. What you're going to do is, as I said, they'll put you in this process called OBS, and it'll be a humiliation process. And a lot of other blokes will tease blokes about going in there, because it often is seen as a sign of weakness too. But you'll be humiliated by the staff there by this process of OBS. It's just somewhere you don't go. One of the things when you get in a prison, and blokes will tell you when you're on a prison van on the way, you're going to go for a screening. If they ask you how you are, say, I'm fine, I'm glad to be here, everything's dandy. And and if any of the staff ever call you over to do what they do, case management notes on you, to ask you how you are, really good, thank you, never been so happy in my life. And that's the whole approach you've got to, that's the persona and perception you've got to give them all at all, because it's very dangerous, this thing that they'll put you on OBS. It's a form of humiliation. It really is. It's a form of humiliation. So no, there's not the right medical treatment in there, because I believe that this OBS thing has been brought in so that saves money on medical treatment, because a lot of people won't reach out for it. No. In the 23 years of jail it was just one of those things that you just knew that you don't go in there. Them nurses can be very dangerous. The mental health team can be really dangerous,
So, Russ, the idea of going to jail in a lot of ways, and I'm sure people will disagree with me, and even you might, is that it's for rehabilitation.
No, it's definitely not that. We live in we've got a punitive system at the moment. There's nothing in there. They're rapidly, when I first went to jail, there was like you could do your tertiary preparation program and then go on to do uni. Some jails will still have it, but what I can see is they're phasing them out because they really want to get people in the workshops where corrective services make money, whether it be sewing up. In my case, I was up at Lithgow Prison, we were selling up body bags, and we're making body bags on overlockers and things like that, and getting like $1.50 a day. So they're trying to, what they have done is they've phased out rehabilitation, like drug and alcohol programs in a lot of places, and it's very, very rare that they have them programs, and they're rapidly getting them out and replacing them of workshops where they can get blokes in there working. and obviously they're going to make money. See, I know New South Wales, I know in Queensland, they build all the super inmate furniture, and they've got all different sorts of, like people would be shocked at some of the industries that are associated with prison industries. When I was up at Rockhampton, they had this thing, and they were making aluminium boats, like, you know what I mean, like, and just some. I know SDL, they used to make all the super A-Mart furniture. So
in the space of less than a day, we've had 2 deaths just out of one prison.
Yeah.
Can you foresee this as something that's going to happen more often?
There's going to be way more. I think there's going to be way more, Matt, and it's sad because there's not a safety net in there for these blokes to really go and talk about how they're feeling, like what's really going on for them. It's testing. These people ain't seeing their family at the moment. Okay, the Ray Hadleys and all that of the world can jump up and down and say, but they're in prison. The punishment starts when you don't get to see your family and you lose all your rights. The punishment is, of a night time, you're not sitting at home having dinner with your kid. With your family. That's a punishment. You can say you should have thought about that. Well, that's the punishment. That's the punishment. And the only contact that these people have through their families is obviously phone calls. I'm told in some prisons at the moment there's one phone for 100 inmates, and they've got 2 hours all to get on the phone themselves. So that's and obviously through visits. Well, there is no visits at the moment. So these people and people. Tempers are getting tested at the moment, and you can say what you want, they're still human beings. And the old adage, will treat them like animals and I'll get out and act like human beings. That has been proven so wrong over the years. You've had, I think, if you look at the documentary about Tamworth, Skill for Killers, and stuff like that, trying to bash it out of them and trying to dehumanize them and everything like that, that doesn't create better human beings.
Mate, I certainly appreciate your time today, and it seems to me like this is just the seed of what could potentially be quite a big problem. Do you think that the social restrictions, this COVID-19 thing, is in any way related?
Oh, without a doubt. Of course it is. It's because of that sort of thing, that people ain't getting their visits, their minimum. What's happened with them, a lot of these prisons, most of it, on average, most of them are locked in their cells 4 days a week. Social isolation, you know what I mean? They're locked in their cells 24 hours a day for at least 4 days a week and getting out for, say, 2 hours, I don't know, that they're tense places, and it is that the killings for sure, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on. Them people, those things, people, I don't know, patients are, people are like, they're angry. These people ain't talking to their kids, and they can't talk to psychologists or medical staff about how they're feeling. It's a crazy situation in there. That's really, they're time bombs, them places in there, Matt, at the moment. They really are. And
Mate, last question. Is there an easy answer?
Yeah, I think so. Bring in remissions and make them retrospective. Bring back the remission system and make them retrospective, which means, like, there used to be a remission. So there'd be a lot of blokes that qualify for them at the moment, blokes that have been, men and women that have been of good behaviour for their whole sentence, that would put them in a position to be released on parole right now. I think, you know what I mean? And then it would be a good incentive for anyone else that's in there to sort of, be of their best behaviour, because it could possibly let them out in a not too distant future. Like, I mean, I remember years ago, Queensland had remissions, and Anna Bligh come in and took them off and made it retrospective. So they were sentenced under a legislation which the judges, when they sentenced them, knew that they could possibly, sentenced them to 6 years and the bottom, possibly knew they could have been out in 4 years, And when them laws come in, they made them retrospective. So them blokes didn't get their 2 years remission, had to do the whole 6, even though a judge knew about it. So the same thing can be done now. They can do the same thing. I think if they brought back in remissions at the moment for all inmates in all states and made it a federal government initiative, because a lot of these commissioners have got discretionary powers to let blokes out and they're not letting them out. So this would have to take it out of there, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are sitting in prisons today that have earned the right to be released for a good behaviour and just sitting back, being good little inmates, doing the right thing, just wanting to get home to their family. And I think they should, that's time. Like, they're sitting in coffins in there, Matt, with what, you know what I mean? If one of these prison officers turns in with COVID-19, they're gone. that thing will spread. A lot of jails in Queensland, they're air conditioned, and that'll spread that quick through wildfire. Forget about that ship in docking in Sydney. That'll be the worst. And I think the thought of that, sitting there for months at a time, knowing at any minute something could blow through that air conditioner and possibly wipe them out, and there's going to be no emergency ward for them people. They're going to be stay there and left to die. So I think that surely, it doesn't matter, you could be the harshest person in the world. Surely that's a punishment enough to sit there having to live for months.
Let's leave it there. Russell Manser, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.